Good morning. How y'all feeling out there? I'm Omi Bell, and you are watching the 30 Day Show. I'm so glad to have y'all here with me. Let me make sure I go live on Instagram because if you've ever used a streaming StreamYard, you know that on one side you have to go live over here on StreamYard, and then you have to go live on Instagram. So let me do that. Hitting the button now. All right, there we go. There we go. Welcome everyone. I'm Omi Bell. You're watching the 30 Day Show. Today is day 22. One of the things I said I was going to do today is talk to y'all about um, something I'm working on. I got a couple different things. One, I think I'm going to start bringing so if you watch me, then you know Mondays I do the Omi brief, and I usually and it's a rapid fire news video where I'm reporting basically what is happening in the world. Well, one of the things I think we're going to start doing is bringing the slowed down version of the Omi brief here. Because after I record this one, I record that one. Also, a lot of times I'm having to shift the script to for the script to be shorter so that I can actually read to y'all as fast as I'm reading to y'all. Because literally, I'm running down 5 sections of news in under 3 minutes. And literally like sometimes the number of takes I can do is really short and it's really easy. But then sometimes like I'm doing multiple takes, and the edits get interesting. But there's a couple things I think are really interesting about today's Omi brief that if you don't see this live, and the thing about it is I don't let me think about that. I'm gonna read it to y'all. I'm gonna do the Omi review. Y'all gonna get the longer version today on streaming versus the shorter version will be what comes out tomorrow. Let me see. I had to refresh 2 stories, so let me actually look at the stories that I had to refresh. Oh shoot. Did I copy the wrong thing? I did copy the wrong thing. Let me go back and do that. Okay, so I have some guests coming today too. The weird thing about the way people are booking the guest who booked on the guest. Good morning, Invite. The weird thing about people who are booking on a guest list is just that some people booked and then didn't come. Like I don't know why you would book and don't come, and it sucks because uh it actually takes away a piece from somebody else who wanted to come. So people are looking at it and being like, "Dang, all the time slots are booked," and then there's people who had a time slot and didn't come. That's kind of annoying me. I'll be honest. But I think when I refine the show, when we bring the next season of the 30 Day Show back, what I think I would do is have people be confirmed. So what I'll do is have my um the person that's working with me, I'll have it be confirmed. So I'll have them reach out and make sure people are gonna come. Okay, my first guest is here. Let me finish this one copy paste real quick. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna read the Omi brief to y'all slowly. Um, and so for those who typically, and it'll be a little longer. This is not going to be the one I put out tomorrow. You're going to see the Omi brief come out tomorrow, but it's not going to be this one. So I'll give y'all the the longer one today, and I'll read it slower. And I can also give like some commentary on it. That's the Omi brief. No spiraling, no sensationalizing. We'll see you next Monday. We're not panicking, we're paying attention. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna bring up my first guest though and let her hop in here. And then I think before today is over, I will read y'all the Omi brief. And then tomorrow, okay, I got good news. Tomorrow, I will also have I plan to have the breathwork app. It's called the Breathing Bell. I plan to have it launched. So you'll be able to go and go check it out. You'll be able to go and breathe a little bit. So there's a couple different pieces on it. 4-7-8 breathing. Um, uh, uh, Box breathing is there. I also have Yoga Nidra there. And I think I'm just going to add just a straight sound bowl session there. And then I also am going to add I think I'm going to add, I don't know what to call it. So if you ever can come to one of my breathwork sessions and you see me do the 2 inhales, 1 exhale, I actually don't know what even the person I learned it from is his technique. I guess it's open and free, but I haven't. Um, we haven't named it quite. He doesn't have a name for it. I know I saw some names out there, cyclic sighing. Anyway, but I will tell y'all a little bit more about that. And y'all are watching me real time work through what it means to merge the different sides of me. Because I'm moving to a space where I'm saying we need to integrate body, business, and belonging. And so in that case, we're not going, there's communities for people who want to work on wellness, there's communities for people who just want to work on business, communities for people who just want to be social. And I'm saying that we need to pull all this together as one to come up to live our everyday lives. Like, especially because now all the things that heavily impact our nervous system are in one place. But everything that support our nervous system may or may not be in one place. So it's like, how can we pull this together and create an integrated life where if we're constantly bombarded by messages over here, then someone or something or we are constantly pouring in nervous system regulation over here. All right. So y'all gonna hear me talk a lot more about that over the next 8 days, because this is day 22 of the 30-day show. So we're winding down. If y'all want us to keep going with the 30-day show, I will probably keep going. I don't know if Cam will. But with the 30-day show itself, we'll take a break. But if you want me to keep going live every morning, let me know. Let me know how y'all feel about that. Y'all, should I keep doing this? What y'all think? All right, I'm going to bring up my first guest, Verda. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
How you
morning.
feeling?
I'm feeling just wonderful this morning.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Good, good, good. How did you hear about the show? Are you an Omi
I,
homie?
I have a good friend and associate, um, uh, Missy Evadne, Evadne Smith.
Oh, okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
here. She's
Mm-hmm.
here. Okay,
Yes. And
good,
she
good,
told
good.
me about the 30-day, and I wanted to possibly fit my book in and talk about what we need to do really immediately.
What's your do you have Instagram?
I do have Instagram.
But you don't use
Um,
it. You sound like
I
you
don't.
like, okay, so where do you want people to go?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Verda Olayinka. I'm I will activate my Instagram again, but that's where I'm at right now, where I can be reached, and all of the ideas coming through are
Okay.
available there.
All right, sounds good. So tell us about your book.
Okay. The name of the book, Activating, Resist Turbulent Times, Ways to Save Ourselves. Um, I look at different things, different issues. I'm a social research scientist, and I've applied all of these skills to what we need to do in the community and also documenting what has been done and justifying our need to save ourselves and give uh, different suggestions and even imperatives uh, as we move forward.
What does it mean to save ourselves?
It means for us to work together with one another, people we know, people we don't know, to work on projects in the interest of African American uh, well-being, individual, community, and social family well-being. Well-being is a term that is commonly used among other groups in terms of health and education and uh, all of the issues, housing, employment, all of them linked to well being. So there has to be, our focus is on community well being in an individual, family, just like I said, general well being for future generations to continue to live and prosper in this country and in the world.
You mentioned, thank you for that. You mentioned that you're a social science
Yeah.
researcher.
Yes. Hmm.
Tell the audience a little bit about what that means.
All right. Um, I do research on writing and research statistics and data, um, uh, interviews, and all sorts of ways to look at what we do. Social research scientists, as opposed to being a scientist in a using a test tube or biological or chemical, social research scientist is a title that I received formally when I worked for the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And the job title was City Research Scientist Level 2. And so I'm retired now. And I use the word social so people are clear that we're talking about social issues, education, health, and jobs, and opportunities, and development, cultural development as a part of the research that many of us are are engulfed in, living in, and don't identify it that way.
When you say we, are you so social research sciences? That's
Yeah.
so in social science, that's a big title. But when you say we, are you talking about one community, or are you talking about like humanity? When you say we say
Okay.
ways to save ourselves, and you're using
Yeah.
we a lot, like who are you referring to a
Um,
certain population, or are you referring to like all
yes.
humans?
Yes, I am. I'm referring to mostly African Americans living in America. Okay, and the impact on us, the social impacts on ourselves and our families, and what we need to do, we African Americans, and I use the term Kemetic because we are descendants through DNA of Kemet, which is ancient Egypt and beyond. And we carry that DNA with us everywhere we go through the melanin in our skins. Now, it's not only us, but we focus on us, African American descendants,
Now, because you're a
living in the,
researcher, I have some questions about that. Because you're a researcher, I'm curious about, because I think there's a conversation that's always like, well, we need to, and black folk need to, and we need to, right? But like from a research perspective, I'm
mm-hmm,
curious about how we anchor into this conversation differently, right? So is this we need to, and this save ourselves related to we need to do this because this is what we've seen other people do and it worked for them? Is this related to like our circumstances based on the course of our, as in you're using African Americans, I'm saying black people. I think those are two
black
different things, but
people?
like
Yes.
ultimately I think, I could go with both, right? Diaspora. I When you say what we like, what I often find, let me say this. What I often find is that the what we need to do is in comparison to European America. And I think that, like, in my opinion, there's some missteps there. So I wonder for you, from a
Mhm.
social science or research standpoint, when you or what you wrote in your book and what you're talking about, is this in comparison to other groups, or is this like a sole like study of what has happened to us over time against like what is it against? Save ourselves from what?
Okay.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more.
All right. I will explain. One of the big questions I had in my mind was, why was it that people from other countries, immigrants, I'm talking about our long history, um, people from Italy, Irish, all other ethnic groups, have been able to come into the United States and eventually their families prosper. And the big curiosity for me was, why was it that our people, our meaning African Americans, I could say people of African descent, okay, have not been able to prosper. And we find ourselves at the bottom of the economic, call it a triangle, okay, pyramid. So the research that I put together was the first one, resist turbulent times, explain why it was that we were not able, what kept us from prospering.
Why
And
is it? What is it?
so many subtle and not so subtle uh, things. One of them is that massacres and
Yeah,
lynchings
attacks.
have never stopped.
Yeah.
Okay? They have never stopped. So that put us in, that gave me confirmation that we actually know um, the, the, the imperative for us to work together with one another.
So,
Another
so
issue.
in the research, does it go into how you fight against the attacks or the system, or is it
No.
okay? Okay, because I think
I'm
like
looking.
this is what I think
Uh-huh.
is interesting about it, and the reason why I'm asking you these questions is in
Mhm.
one respectfully, like I think
Yes.
that I always hear this what we need to do conversation, right?
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
there are things that we have to do in a
Mhm.
sense, but I don't ever hear anything that's around stopping the attacks or impacting the attacks or like what did attacks look like today. And so I think that like I hear like people will form and rally and everything when it's a moment to, but long term I don't know that we look at it as consciously as like really what's a part of what's impacting the black community is the consistently being attacked, right? So
Right.
there's like pockets of people who are fighting whatever that looks like, but it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily all they don't that doesn't all join together. Not saying it needs to, but it doesn't necessarily all everybody's fight against the attack is different. And then there's the people
Mhm.
who like shake a finger at the black people themselves. Okay, well, like there's people who are shaking a finger at the system, and there's people who are
Mhm.
shaking a finger at the black people, and it feels so disjointed and
Mhm.
disconnected in
Mhm.
the levels of empathy needed to understand like if what you just brought up is like black community evolution against immigrants
All right.
part just to zoom all the way out. It's similar to why now on the surface of this similar to um why uh some people have faster internet. Let's go here. So
Mhm.
or why it may look like I can't name a country in this moment, but some country is beating us out at their internet access and we're not. So
All right.
depending on
All right.
the length of
Mhm.
time that
Mhm.
things have been around, that means there was
Mhm.
a whole set of history that happened that the other
Mhm.
country started at a different point in our history. So let's say this we had years of internet. Example, we had may have had years of internet before another country. So everything that we did, they got the opportunity to learn from and pick up from and do differently
Yes.
than we did it. And so
Yes.
in that
Yes.
case,
Mhm.
they saved money, they learned how to make it faster, they
Yes.
laid their cables different. Like we
Yes.
had analog by the time we educated the world and everybody else on like what there was to do with technology. They didn't have to go through an analog phase. So some of this conversation of like wonder why immigrants come over here and seemingly, and again right now it's arguable that it's better, but they're able to build, people view it as they're able to build more for their
Oh.
families and things like that than black
Yes.
people who have been here and haven't. It's
Right.
not the same journey. And while I think that there's a like we our generations of suffering and then somebody entering at a certain point is way different than trying to
That's
compare like
true.
apples to
Yes.
apples.
True. Very true. I'll go back to um, um, the issue with George Floyd, with George Floyd, isn't it? uh, uh, where they sat on, you know, his head and caused that. Our people began to riot. My solution behind that was for us to stay out of the streets. We're just getting targeted that way, and go to a safe place, like Malcolm said, go in the closet, plan, and discuss what we're going to do next, and then come out into the street. Now, I don't mean physically fighting. I mean that we are completely siloed. We're in and of ourselves, whether it's a church, a community organization, families. No one works with others to break up the silos so that we can work together. And the objective being that, for one thing, I'm talking about national level across the USA. I cannot tell, I'm in New York City right now. I cannot tell leaders in Chicago to do certain things because I don't live in Chicago. I don't know who the key players are. I don't know anything about the inner workings of what's going on there. But the people in Chicago know what to do for themselves. You see, I'm not talking about physical violence, I'm talking about clearing our minds to work together with one another, clearing our mental space first, and clearing opening the silos. Work with people you know and people you are getting ready to know to handle certain projects, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's housing. Look at the whole number of people who are houseless. And how did they become houseless? They became houseless
Well, okay,
because,
wait, wait,
wait,
wait,
wait,
wait.
let me finish. It's important. They lost jobs, can't pay the mortgage, lost jobs, you can't pay your rent. So immediately, these families with children have become totally dependent because of that. That's just one example. So, what happens when you lose your house, you lose your job, can't pay the rent? Okay, I should say that the other way around. And then you are foreclosed upon. So the book really focuses on one chapter. It's called I Live in Jamaica, Queens. So the story of Jamaica, Queens as a sample of what happened with those who lost their homes, and how social rules and everything made it possible for new people from other places in the world to take on the housing that we have fought and suffered for to maintain. So that's just another example, but it becomes a trend. It's jobs, housing, food scarcity. Where we're going now with all of this is is set up in a way, it's linked to Project 2025. It's been in planned for decades. Okay. So now it's coming to fruition, but our people still I hate to say, I encourage our people to come together and look at these real situations. Don't get lost in television and other stories and everything, because we are in serious danger. And so,
Somebody in the comments said, if we can't work
Mhm.
together, what does save ourselves look like as an overall mission?
Okay, it's a if we can't work together, then of course it's our own demise. So it's a changing in the mental state of where we are, because most of all of these impacts are mental. So it's true, that's one of our challenges, but we have to begin somewhere and see that once we're at the stage of food deprivation, food scarcity, we have to, how do we get food into, especially into the inner city? Okay? How do we work together? How can we compare needs and apply services that can work for our people? The most important imperative of working together, is a big test for us, is how do we handle this next voting, okay, this next election day, to work together. It's working together. If voting is just one example of how we get together and know, um, those key things, we vote, we get to know each other in the process of really moving this along. We can move this along through the national organizations. The national organizations have statewide chapters and local chapters. We find out the need. We share information with one another. We realize that my problem is the same as your problem. Okay, we're having this challenge together. How do we fix it? You know,
Yeah,
it's
I think
strategizing in a different mindset.
so.
Go ahead.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate what you have shared today. In your
Mhm.
book, are you giving before I go to this next thing? But in your book, do you give actual solutions, or is just more
Yes.
communication and conversation around? Because I think like I get a little anxious about these conversations, just because I feel like we have to at some point go. We actually don't know the answer, and we need to whiteboard it
Mhm.
out. Like I think that's where we are as a country and as a community to say like, look, we don't nobody has the answer. Like at this moment because there's so much more to address. So like
Yes.
I think there's like, yes, work together. Got it. There's so much distrust right now. People don't trust
Yes.
the national
Yes.
organizations because
Mhm.
we've been
Mhm.
watching them do things and we don't feel like they have solved things at a certain
Mhm.
level. We feel like
Right.
they've gone silent in a way. We
Mhm.
feel like
Mhm.
and as
Mhm.
a national organization, you take on different alliances where you
Yeah.
can't speak up in certain ways. So
Right.
like the
Mhm.
things that people are looking to the NAACP or look into the Urban League to be able to do. In some ways, they just can't because now they
Mhm.
are now connected to and wrapped up in like corporate support.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that that is wrong. By the way, I'm not saying
It
that
is, but it is.
no harm, no foul to it because
Mhm.
in when it's just when you are trying to keep your organization going and
Mhm.
you're trying to raise capital, the
Mhm.
available pool of people to raise capital from is the available of people to raise capital from. So
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
layers to that. Trying to have as much integrity as you can while accepting capital to keep
Mhm.
your effort going is a
Yes.
real thing that has to be
Yes.
balanced that
Yes.
people
It
don't
is.
talk about openly.
All
So a
right.
lot of people, want to always criticize corporations or criticize who people have alliances with. But at the end of the day, when you out here raising money, who are you raising it from?
Right.
So it ain't it's not typically the activist that is
Mhm.
the one that's the big donor. You know what I mean? So I think like
Mhm.
you're trying to figure out the balance between what it means to keep your thing going and serve the
Mhm.
community that you want to serve and also knowing that it means you're going to have alliances that if one of those players that you accept capital from ends up being some not so great player, you might not be able to speak out about it. You might not be able to organize
Exactly.
around it.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
Hmm.
sometimes those who have the money may be playing it in their favor.
All
And that's
right.
the unfortunate part.
All right.
However, it's still a
Mhm.
reality that you still got to get the money from somewhere.
Right. Okay. That is true. Our politicians are getting money also, big money from
They got
corporations.
to.
So we have to be aware. That's part of the voting strategy. Okay? Be aware of that. But what we have is each other. And there are other national organizations, um, national organizations involving health, involving education, involving other issues
Which ones
that,
do you recommend, or are there ones that you
okay,
can call out?
I did some research. I had a list of 19 national organizations that could be very helpful. And the idea is for the organizations to collaborate at the top. And then it becomes top down communication.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
I think that the thing it's hard to do that.
yeah,
That
but
sounds way
it
easier
doesn't
than
mean,
it really
okay, let
actually
me just
is.
let me just say this. Last year, there was a big eye opener when 300,000 African American or African descendant women were removed from federal employment. 300,000 in the first 3 months of this administration. That was a huge wake up call. It's beyond where we're at right now, but it woke up these same national organizations of whom many of the people were members. Okay, um,
It woke them up. What did they do?
not having jobs, the
No, no,
the
no. You said I
volume.
thought you said it woke up the national organizations. I'm sorry. What were you about to say about the national organizations?
It was a wake up call for members to really realize they can't depend on corporates removing African American workers. Okay,
Okay,
so
wait, 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 wait.
mm-hmm,
I don't want to. Let me say this: we do
mm-hmm,
know that over 300,000 Black women have exited the workforce. In
yes,
terms of what we can't like, I don't know the sweeping numbers of I can't claim that how
mm-hmm,
corporations are targeting
careful. Okay,
people. What I would say is that DEI being
mm-hmm.
canceled did being that majority. It's layered. That's what I'll say.
It's
But thank you so
layered.
much for joining us. Thank you
Okay,
for coming. I really appreciate you. Happy Sunday to you and yours. Have a great rest of your day.
okay. Is there
Yeah, we
any
appreciate you.
way I could give you a list of the national organizations that can collaborate with one another, work together, and
Yeah, go ahead. Well,
not
and I want to
only,
make this is your opinion that these people should work together. Is that what you're saying?
well, that's one of the solutions that I've come to. Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
it's
What's
a
the
solution.
organizations?
Okay, so you've got National Action Network, SCLC, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Um, of course, Black Lives Matter, National Association of Black Accountants, National Black um, MBA Association, National Medical. There are national associations
Okay,
that
you're saying they can
can
work together to do what? Save us?
collaborate. No, collaborate with their people on different issues and influence their members to work with people in the community to achieve certain goals. That's
You
why I
know,
say the first goal was is voting. What happens after November 3rd, 2026? There are other goals. There's education, there's housing, health. There are other goals, but we have to coalition. We have to work together We have to. We have no other source but ourselves to save ourselves. So it's a different mindset. It's not, oh, we've never done it before, or no, in the past, and this and
We
that.
have done it
We
before.
have,
But
yes, we
the
have.
thing, so it's not that we never done it before. It's not that. We
Hmm.
have done it before and we were successful at it for what was in front of us at that time.
Yeah.
I think where we are right now, I don't disagree with you. I think that, like, yes, people should work with their constituents, people should work with each other and figuring out how you partner. I can give some real time back end like things as to why people don't.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because I even as Black Girl Ventures, we've attempted to work with or tried to work with the NAACP. Even as Black Girl
Wow.
Ventures, we have attempted. I used to before I had Black Girl Ventures, I was working at Google. I
Yeah.
used to go and work with the local urban league around delivering education. I think that, like, one of the things that I wrote, I don't know if you said this directly,
Hmm.
but I want to say it more clearly, is the what to do now versus the what to do next. And so
Hmm.
when during
Yeah.
the uprising after George Floyd's murder, there
Yeah.
was an opportunity there that you spoke to that I want to go back to, which is um our names are on the screen, Linda. So the the instead of people going out in the street, or meanwhile, while these people are out in the street, how we're
Hmm.
gonna what's our plan? The one thing that I think that is
Hmm.
really core to me is, what is our plan? To your point, like, okay, let's get everybody out to vote. Elections, let's get the election shifted. Yada yada yada. Yes, everybody needs to vote, 100%. What is
Yeah.
our plan though? You know, like,
Okay.
I think, like, one of the things that I'm not asking you what our plan is, Verda. I'm just saying that, like, one of the things that I think I am super agreeing with you on is the what to do now versus the what to do next.
Yeah.
There's a lot of what to do now. There's not a lot of what to do
Hmm.
next, and there's a lot of
Hmm.
not a, there's not a lot of future planning. When Project 2025 came out, I'm like, well, shoot, where was the left Project 2025? What was the plan? And it's like there's only planning cycle by cycle by cycle by cycle versus, like, this longer term. Who do we need to put in place to leverage what we want to have in place? Who do we need to put
Yeah.
in place to leverage to leverage them to create what
Hmm.
we want to have in place? That is the
Hmm.
plan we're seeing unfold literally in front of us right now.
Hmm.
The who the right wanted to have in place
Hmm.
so that they can leverage what they want to have in place. And I'm using they for both parties, by the way. I think that the idea that my challenge on the with the Democrats is there's a lot of finger
Hmm.
shaking and sticking to, in some ways, conservative values, sticking to the game plan as usual. The strategy doesn't shake up. The ability to win against other candidates doesn't get radical. There's, like, so, and it doesn't go hyper local, like, in terms of, like, the level of winning against other candidates. It is there's a lot there. So when I zoom out from that and think about national organizations, what
Hmm.
I feel like people don't understand when they say these two huge entities that have been around for decades to work together, that sounds great. Love that as a solution. But what I find is that people do not understand what they're saying when they say that. Right? There is money involved, there are line items involved, and there are people. Now, I'm not saying we can't work together. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't work together, but there's
Hmm.
realities around why doesn't SCLC and NAN work together? Like, what does that mean? Well, multiple reasons why. They're like, and I don't know what their thing is particularly. So I'm using this just open examples. So I want to be
Yes.
clear that I
Yeah.
don't know exactly why they don't. But I can, as a leader of a national organization, I could tell you some reasons why people probably don't do it. So
Mhm.
somebody in the orgs gotta want to figure that out for some purpose, to figure out, like, how to, first you're thinking about how to keep your org together, how to make it
Yeah.
stronger, what your donor pool looks like, how you're going to keep your efforts funded. Nonprofit leaders are fighting for funding so much so that like it's, in my opinion, they let the programming just become stale and stagnant, and it all
Mhm.
becomes about fundraising. We need to go get money. We need to go get money. We go everything. All this. The part that I don't know that we're addressing as strongly is how everybody uses their dollars to keep some of this. Like, if it's your favorite org, it's not enough to just praise them in language. Oh, I love how they be in the community. I love, no, go get $5.
Or human resources. The biggest asset we have is each other, our physical bodies and minds. The human resources throughout the USA, we
It's
are the
also the
most,
most challenging to work with.
most educated, the most talented, yeah, yeah.
It's
So
the most challenging to
we
manage.
yeah, in the world, we can do it. It's a different mindset, but we are our biggest resource. It's not about money, it's about what gets done to change the mindset, individuals, what we do, how we do something with even the local community school boards. We can do it, but we can't do it sitting and watching TV. We have to
But we're not
move.
sitting and watching
No, no,
TV.
no, no. Listen,
That
I'm not
let's not put
referring
that
to you.
narrative forward. We're not. People are not stagnant waiting on the side. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things. What I'm
Yes,
speaking to is the working together
the
piece. But
coordination.
I gotta let you go. I gotta let you
Thank
go.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
joining
you
me. I
for this
appreciate you.
opportunity. Really, thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
this
you. I appreciate the
opportunity for me to
dialogue
share my book and source because that's what we have.
for
Okay?
sure. Have a good rest of your
Ideas
day.
for the future.
All
Thank you
right.
again
All
very
right.
much.
If you're tuning in, thank y'all for watching. You are watching the 30 Day Show. Um, I'm Mommy Bell, and if I guess if you're just meeting me for the first time, then hello. I am one of the things I love about one just dialoguing, like having guests. That one of the things I miss about, so I used to have, I'm a Sirius XM host. In fact, the Sirius XM Urban View channel 126. If you tune in at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, my show is there. My show is live, and this week I'm interviewing Amanda Spann. She is the author of I Have an App Idea, and we're talking about tech and how everyday people can go ahead and develop apps and what that looks like. And she's giving you everything to be thinking about as you develop tech in this current society where tech is. One of the things that is so what I also feel like we don't have enough of is speaking from multiple sides, right? So I feel like we don't have enough of that. We have people who go, we need to do this, and then we have these other people that go, I hear you, but there's things I'm facing over here that I can't do exactly like we can do it. Let me say that. Like I agree with Verda. We can do anything we put our minds to. And over the course of history, we have done it. Right? And we as in like a black community, black people. But my people, right? And I wanna broaden my people is people that get it. So it's not about your gender, color, race, where you live, none of that. My people, when I say my people as Omi Bell, I'm saying the people that get it. I'm saying allies, accomplices. I'm saying people who, and allies in any way, whether that's you're ally to the LGBT community, ally to the black community, ally to, like, I am saying that I also think that over the course of history, it hasn't been the organizations that existed were always mixed and diverse with personalities, mixed and diverse with race, mixed and diverse with backgrounds. It's one of the things I love about the movie Sinners. It actually showcases or shows you like how there was many people in existence at the time, and they were different ways of working together. So, or how people worked and lived among each other, even in the midst of drastic levels of oppression. But the what to do now versus what to do next, I feel like is one of the strongest things that we need to be thinking about. Yes, working together, I agree with that. What to do now versus what to do next. There's a lot of what to do now, not a lot of what to do next. What to do now is focus on elections. What to do now is go out into the street and rally. What to do now is everybody do this. What to do now is like that is what in terms of in what I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say one party or the other. I just say agents of change. A lot of what I've heard of today's modern day agents of change talk to reference is very reactionary and is very much about what to do now and not what to do next. And therefore, there's no, oh, thank you, Lucy Jordan, who's been following me for 6 years. Um, there's not a lot of what to do next. And this is where I'm saying it's also okay for us to say we don't have the answer. And I think like I'm waiting for that conversation. Hey, I think I know what to do for my generation. Hey, I think I know what to do for my generation. Hey, I think I know what to do for my national organization. Hey, I think I might know what to do for my national organization. The coming together for me is a group of people who from these organizations that decide, yo, what we've been doing ain't working. What we've been doing, the way we've been thinking we're gonna get it done, is not how we're gonna get it done. And or it's working, but it's not working enough to win the game, quote. All right. It's not enough to overpower the forces that continuously oppress us. Now, when we get into the oppressed people, when we get into different communities, the conversation gets broader. So when we talk about like unhoused people, or we talk about healthcare, we talk about food deserts, when we talk about like these are different areas that exist that are they're not all black, they're not all white, they're not all immigrants, right? So it's like also being mindful that, as I would say, as Black people in our leadership, we are caring about helping everybody. It's like a rising tide raises all boats, right? In that sense, it starts to broaden up the conversation. I feel like things get lost there as well. And no harm, no foul to it. I'm not saying it's bad. It just is what it is. So what to do now versus what to do next is a conversation that we need to be continuously having. What are we going to do now versus what are we going to do? We vote now, but then what's the plan for what happens after we vote? I also think that there's been a lack of intergenerational planning and a lack of succession planning. Because where a lot of times I've asked myself, and somebody out there may know the answer to this, so drop it in the comments for me. In me building Black Girl Ventures, I've asked myself, where is I know of Martin Luther King's dream. I don't know fully about Martin Luther King's full plans. Like where is the literal plan that they had behind the scenes on like, are there two? I don't know. I would have to go look. I've done some searching prior to like when I really started BGV, but if there's people who have resources, I would love it. Like, where was the plan on? I would love, and they may not have this, but it would be dope to see like if anybody wrote down how they planned the marches. Like how do they like the full level planning? I'm not talking about just like, getting speakers or the front line. I'm talking about like, what did they do to communicate with all those different areas of the country with no technology at that time? What did they do to spread the word that far? And then there's reports on like, here's how they work with transportation. Here's how that, but I never seen it like anybody really write it like a full on, here's literally the infrastructure of how the marches worked. I would love to see that for and a lot of those people have passed away. And I think that's the thing about like, if any people still like exist from that time frame, we need to do oral histories. We need to get history. We need to like start capturing our history from our elders and making sure that we can pass on what they saw. What they saw, not what they saw and just like the danger and the bad parts and all that. It's like, yes, capture that because we don't want to lose those stories either. But also, where can we capture the plans? Because there's something about different ways that Black folks was living life over the course of time that we don't talk about as much. My grandfather died at 93 years old, and he said to himself, I will never work for white folks. And he didn't, except for like he had a short stint at like UNC Hospital. Other than that, he worked for himself that entire time. And according to the way people paint the times that he lived through, somebody would say, how that was not possible. But it was. And it happened to multiple people. But like we don't talk enough about those stories, but not the stories, but like what were they doing? Like how were they navigating in a way that says like you're in the most oppressive time that Black people have lived ever. Well, not most, but maybe the second, because he was definitely not born during slavery. But the second. And like, how did you live all that time, thrive in your life, and never work for white people, right? Like, what did that mean to him? What like, and I didn't know to value that while he was alive. I didn't know that. I didn't know what that meant. He would say it, and he would say it in like a in that old Black man tone, and I would be like, okay. You know what I mean? But like, I didn't really understand what that mean until now I'm 45 and being like, yo, wait, what? You lived all that time and you still thrived, and you lived a upper middle class life, and you didn't have to succumb to any of the things that they said that we would have had to succumb to. How did you do that? Right? And I think that when we talk about what to do now versus what to do next, I think some of the stories are missing as well, in terms of what did our ancestors do, or what did the people before us do, that is in the infrastructure of what they did, not in the like we saw them on the front lines. We saw them like in terms of like watching the documentaries and learning that the training ground that was happening during civil rights, meaning that like they were in basements spitting on each other, yelling at each other, to train them to have the fortitude to go sit down at the at a counter they weren't welcome at, right? They were in it, this is Verda was kind of talking about, in the closet, in the lab, planning how we're gonna go out here and face what today's circumstances look like. There's not enough of that. I completely agree with her on how we could partner. It's like there's not enough of what we talking about. Then how we're gonna go out and face today's circumstances of what that look like. Now, let me say this. What I also feel like is missing, and y'all don't come for me, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all, because me and my dad, be having this conversation. The way that we learned to fight will no longer work in today's society. Okay? So the ways that, and some of it, I'm not gonna say all of it, some of the ways that Black folks was fighting during civil rights time is just not gonna work today in some ways. So, and that's the reality we need to face. What is today's battle? And a lot of today's battle is intellectual. And we are highly intellectual as people, but we're still doing a very physical fight. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I agree with, I am not one that necessarily does like marches and things like that, but I support that that's what people do. I am more like, let's go into the boardroom. Let's write to Congress. Let's call the Congress people. I think all these things need to happen all at once. And I think we need people who march, and we need people who write, and we need people who are media. We need people who are voices in different ways. We need people we need positioning and so like work together for me doesn't necessarily mean, I know this might sound crazy. Work together for me is more of an orchestra than it is a what's another partnership that I can think of? Then it is what is it when then it is rowing. Let me say that. So I think that like, to me, it's an orchestra. It's like, okay, if this national network over here is clear, funded, and doing anything that they see fit, and in this national organization here is clear, funded, and doing anything they see fit, then right now we're all sort of in concerto, all right? We're all in concert around change. That like, now whether or not we actually know each other, or they actually know each other, whether or not they actually get together and go to dinner together, whether or not that may not be true, but it's all in concert around change, right? Now, it's similar to what Verda was talking about. Now, outside of that, I would say like, so there's lots of national organizations, there's lots of local organizations, all working to create change. The Chicago organization is saying, here's what we need to change in Chicago, and they're working on it. The New York organization says, here's what we need to change in New York, and they're working on it. So there's these hyper local folks, but there's there's a missing point of connection there though that we don't have yet. That says that like, where is the council? You know what I mean? Like, there's no council. You know how like on Wakanda, where all the councils of the kingdom come together, and then they have this like massive conversation. It's like a queen of the council kind of thing, and they get to argue back and forth about what they people do and what they people ain't gonna do. We need that for national organizations, and I don't know that that exists anywhere. Now, you know where it does exist? It exists in the church. So like the churches have national councils, like the Baptist church, or the Baptist for sure, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But there's a whole and like bishops and pastors and all that, there's a whole thing there. In fact, when we talk about national organizations, we should be talking about the churches. Okay? Now, because over the course of time, the churches have been a huge. Now, whether or not you agree with their religion or the way they act or any of that, but the churches have played a huge part in community. The churches are essentially community organizations for real, who are accepting donations and surviving, some of them purely off of the donations of their constituents, of their members. And so I think there's a responsibility that the churches have that maybe they're also could do. In fact, when I think about it, the churches as a system could do exactly what Verda is talking about faster than a national organization could. And because they already agree on things. That's the thing we're talking about. When we say like, oh, we just need to work together. Everybody just work together. People don't understand what that means, okay? Like, you listen, to work together is an immense effort. I'm not saying you can't do it, and you should do it. It's an immense effort to work together, though. Like, it's not as seamless as it sounds. And what I mean is like from not as people. What I mean by that is national organization trying to work with national organization. Couple things that come into play. One, both these national organizations have been doing everything that they do to the best of what they can do. Okay? Now, whether or not people think they're doing enough or whether or not they could do more, yada, 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 that's arguable. But essentially, national organizations are doing to the best of their perceived ability what they can do. That's what the funding they have, the staff they have, the efforts that they put in place, what they came up with, right? So to say, okay, national organization 1, you need to go work with national organization 2. Okay, what happens is the people inside those organizations, they meet, they have a meeting. Maybe you're the head of partnerships over here. Maybe you're the head of you're the head of business development. You're the head of business development. They come together and they go, we need to work together. Okay, great. Well, what do you have? I have 1, 2, 3 program. Okay, what do you have? I have XYZ program. What they then have to decide is a couple things. One, they're going to start something completely new, which becomes, when starting something completely new, there's a cost to that, a cost associated. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm saying there's a human resource cost to it. There is a capital cost to it. There is a messaging cost to it. So it's figuring out these things. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not saying that means that people can't do it. I just want to share with y'all what happens. Because I think that people say these things lightly. Everybody should just work together. And it's like, great. Nobody's asking Susan G. Komen to work with freaking St. Jude's. You know what I mean? Nobody's asking St. Jude's to go work with the freaking Save Children of America. Nobody's asking them to do that, right? Nobody's asking them to do that. But when it comes to us, it's always like, oh, nah, y'all need to, and don't get me wrong, we do need to work together. I think we need to. Working together would be helpful if we could figure it out. If we can figure it out, because it ain't just that easy, but if we can figure it out, it could absolutely be impactful. I 100% agree with that. But just know that what you're saying is out of like really quick as a phrase is not that easy. All right. It's like, It's like telling somebody like, hey, it's gonna be all right. Okay, great. But like I have feelings right now. So like what do you mean? Like it's saying a thing is not the same thing as executing a thing, and we all know that. So anyway, let me go back to it. Okay. Organization A, 1, 2, I don't know where I was at. 1, 2, or A and B, I don't know what I was telling y'all. But ultimately, they come together, they all have been operating for a decade. So they are really firmly planted in the organizations and the efforts that they have. Not only that, on the back end. Now let me share this. No, it's not all about money, but it can't be without a conversation about money. Because when you get money as a nonprofit, there are line items that you have to spend it on. So you can't just decide, because you got to report back to these funders. And these funders, and I'm not saying that like the funders are bad people. I'm just saying that like it's just a fact. So when you go, okay, we're going to work with organization, I'm organization 1, I'm working with organization 2. I also got to look at my funding and go, where does this fit into what I told my funders I was going to do with the money they gave me? Because on a massive level, the hardest thing to raise is general operating capital. For whatever reason, people do not always value the fact that you just need capital to operate. They want you to take that capital and put it into a program. They want you to take that capital. They don't view in the realm of philanthropy, helping you operate is not the priority. That's not what's highly viewed as the thing you do. That's not where the money is. The money is in what program can you execute. So when it comes down to it, you got to report on the impact from the program that you executed. And in that case, that doesn't always work for them partnering with another organization. Because either that organization has to take a certain place in what you're doing. Either that organization got to provide for the program you said you would execute on for the funder, or that organization has to not coincide with the program that you said you would execute on for the funding that you got. And it's not about the funder. You painted the picture to the funder for what you were going to execute in community. If you said you were going to provide HIV, STD, and STD testing for 100 people, then you got to go provide testing for 100 people. Like that, that is what you said you were going to do. That is what you got funded for. That is what you got to go and do. Now, whether or not, you might have a passion to say, I want to work with St. Jude's, right? And then but that's not what you told the funder that you was going to do. So like, that may be great. You may feel like, oh, but if we partner with St. Jude's, we could really accomplish, helping kids in rural. Fine, that's great. But if that's not what your mission is, and that's not what you told the funder that you was going to do, then it's going to be a no that you can't do that. That's not that you can't. It's going to be that you got to go raise money for that, or you got to say, hey, that's not the right partner. So I think there's a matching up of partnerships to figure out, but logistically, infrastructure-wise, there's a lot more happening than what meets the eye in some of these conversations when people just go, well, why don't they just work together? Yeah, I agree. When I'm looking at certain people, I'm like, yeah, why don't they just work together? But when running an organization, now I know why they don't just work together. Like, I see why they don't just work together. And I ain't even gotten to the human part. Like right now, I'm just telling y'all surface level funding and infrastructure and like program logistics. And I'm putting it there. But we had a conversation with a large player in the Black community. And this is during the time right after George Floyd. And they were like, well, we do pitch competitions, so we don't feel like we should partner with y'all. Okay. One, I was in shock. Two, that ain't even all I pitched to them. Like the conversation that we had wasn't all about pitch competitions. Like we had a whole full conversation about programming. All they heard was the pitch competition part. And then they said, we don't want to work together. Okay then. And you know why I think they didn't want to work together? It's because people discount small organizations all the time. And at that point, we were like not as known as we are now. And so it was like, oh, these people, I don't know about these people. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. And then and no harm, no foul. Maybe you have to vet out so much of that because it's true. You don't know what people's angle are. You don't know, what what the actual filling out of that thing will be, or like how it will work, or whether or not it will work. You don't know, because you are this large conglomerate that's been doing everything you've been doing, and you've been doing as much as you think you're supposed to be doing. And here comes this or the other organization saying, hey, let's partner. And then you going like, what? I'm over here trying to upkeep, hold on to everything I got, trying to report on my impact, trying to like serve the shareholders, constituents, everybody I got to serve. And like, people don't feel like they can stop to partner. Now, that's just one part of the everybody should work together. But here's the thing. What I want everybody to hear me say is, who is just gonna lower their ego enough to say we don't have the answer? Like, who's just gonna say, hey, we don't have the answer, but I am willing to come forth and whiteboard until we figure the answer out. And that goes back to the, what do we do now versus what do we do next? If you're just joining me, you're watching 30 Day Show. I'm Omi Bell. And we are talking about my guest this morning. Well, my first guest. There's another guest that's supposed to be coming, but it's fine because I'm now almost at the end of the show. But my first guest, I'll put her information back up. She is a social scientist, and she is the author of Turbulent Times: Ways to Save Ourselves. And we got into a great conversation this morning just around how to work together, what her findings have been through her research and study as a social scientist in New York, working in the realm of health and in her study. And I love these kinds of conversations, especially when I could talk to people who have done deep research or have been studying. Because one, I'm so curious about human behavior and why we work the way we work. I think that like I am always, I probably should have became, like, I'm a computer scientist, but I probably should have became some other kind of scientist, because I'm always like, why do people work that way? Why do you do this thing that you do? Why did you make that decision? What are you thinking about? And I'm always coming from that lens of like, well, what were people thinking about and why they made decisions they made? This is why, like, I would love to, when people go like, who would you love to go to dinner with? Like, what are your, 5 people to go to dinner with, um, uh, whether they are like, alive or not, right? And there's people that I can't name that I would like. I don't know their name. I don't know the firm. Like, there's people who were alive at a time and watched a thing happen in history that I would love to hear their reflection of it. And that's why I'm so fascinated with like documentaries, or like I'm so fascinated with like listening to people talk about their real life story of like the times that they lived through. Even my parents, just hearing them talk about like being around when the first schools was integrated, or understanding um wait a minute, leader, I don't see you. You're not, it says I'm still on. I don't know what line you're on, honey. Where you were, if you signed up for the show, then you have a calendar invite that gives you the link to come to the show. I don't know what line you're on. I'm not on a line right now. This is live streaming. So you would have had to you got to look in your calendar or look in your email and find the link to the actual StreamYard. So my 7 a.m. guest, sorry y'all, in the chat was asking me, I don't know if you called Urban View. I'm not on Urban View right now. I'll be, actually, my Sunday show is pre-recorded and it will be on in another hour, but on SiriusXM Urban View channel 126. But in terms of live, I'm online right now. So you have to look in your email. So when you sign up for the show, you automatically get an email that tells you, like, okay, that confirms that you're going to be here. You can search for Calendly. You can search your email for the 30 Day Show. It should pop up. If you have a calendar, it should be on your calendar. It would have automatically populated. But yeah, I'm here. So you can find the link and click it and come on over. Dang, I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, let me go to so every Monday at Omi Bell on Instagram, I do the Omi Brief. And usually when I'm doing it, I am you are in line. You're in line where? I don't see you. You're not in the 30 Day Show chat here, because I don't see you. I don't know what line you're on, Lita. I don't know what you mean by I'm on a line. I don't have a line. So I don't know what you mean, honey. I'm not on the line. You have to go to your email, click the link that says StreamYard, and it will bring you here. I don't know where you are exactly. If you email, maybe I can try and email it to you real quick. Let me see if I can while I am. Sorry, y'all, hold tight. Let me see if I can get her the see if I can get her the right link to join. I'm gonna email. Okay, I'm emailing you the link now. Here's a link to join. All right, I just emailed it to you directly. I don't know why she would be on you. Why? That's not how it works. I mean, yes, she is on YouTube, but like, I don't know why you would be on YouTube. That's not. So to get into the actual live stream, you need to click the link in your calendar. So, or click the link in your actual email that you received. You got an email that says that you're going to be here, and there's a link in there that tells you exactly where to come. Okay, so on Mondays or tomorrow, you're gonna see me put out the OMI brief. Now, the OMI brief, I'm covering 5 areas of news, and it's rapid. So I'm covering business and AI, culture, entertainment, politics, wellness. And in me covering those particular areas, I'm giving you like a rapid fire rundown, not just of like what's happening, but a zoom out into like what to be thinking about. When I started doing the OMI brief, I started this series because I feel like I'm always seeing news bits about like things that people want to hype up or like hype moments. And there's a lot of sensationalizing on the internet. So I wanted to do something where I was zooming out and helping people think like, yeah, out of everything you just heard, here's the takeaway. Here's what to be thinking about. So, it's fun to do it rapid fire, but that means sometimes I can't cover the full story. So you have to just get it where you get it. And so, but because I started a 30-day show and y'all are here with me, I can actually run it down slower to y'all and maybe a little bit more in depth than I normally do, because by the time you hear it tomorrow, a lot of what I'm about to share with you would be cut out. So here we go. Are y'all ready? Here is tomorrow's. So you getting a sneak preview, exclusive first look at tomorrow's OMI brief. Okay. Oh wait, okay, Lita, you made it here. But you may want to change it so your name says your name and not, I don't know, looks like you wrote in the name block, "Can you see me? Thank you," or something. But you may want to write like your name and your actual like company, because that's what's gonna pop up. What you wrote at the bottom is gonna pop up on screen. But I do see you now, Lita, in the waiting room. Okay, so while she's pulling that together, I am going to, by the way, so just if you just joining me, and I don't know if this is your first day seeing the 30-day show, but this is actually day 22 of the 30-day show. We are 22 days live every day, 90 minutes a day. And what I did was I opened it up to the entire audience. Well, not entire audience, because sorry, people on social media did not get an opportunity to join to sign up to be a part of the show. But if you're on my email list, if you're on the OMI Homies text list, if you want to join my email list, you can go to at OMI Bell on my Instagram. Follow Instagram, but you can also go into the link in my bio and sign up right there. When you click the link, you'll see the name and email place. You can sign up there. Also, you can also become an OMI homie, because a lot of the people who came on are my OMI homies. You can text me at 202-918-4483. Text me at 202-918-4483, because when I do the next iteration of the show, my OMI homies are always going to be first to be able to book. But in the next iteration of the show, because at the end of the 30-day show, the 30-day show is going to end. It is called the 30-day show, and so it has to end at some point, y'all, in 30 days. But what I will do is I'm gonna probably launch a new show. How y'all feeling? Should I launch a new show? Keep going live every day, or should we just end the 30-day show? What y'all think? Drop it in the comments. We've had people come on several days and go, "Wait, you can't just end the show in 30 days." And the next show is going to be, and I think, similar to my guest earlier, Verda, what she was talking about is around like working together and caring for each other in a sense. And so what I'm putting out next is about integrating all of that: body, business, and belonging. And how do we integrate in our lives how to work? And I want to bring on practitioners from who work in each category: body, business, and belonging. I want to bring on people who could talk to us about psychedelics. I want to bring on people all the way from that to like, I want to bring on people who are talking about different ways that they're doing, different ways they're addressing issues with body, spirituality. Like, the show is gonna, like, right now we kind of have a variety of topics, and everybody kind of comes on to talk about what they want to talk about, and I welcome that. In the next iteration of this, it will be the 3B podcast, and it would be us talking about more focused body, business, and belonging specifically. And I want to bring on a couple of doctors and like people in those different areas. Y'all met, if you were here, when Dr. Trinice Richardson came on, and she talked about what she's doing with her organization, Real Women, and the belonging piece of that. I want to have her come back. Like, there's a couple different people that I want to have come back. And there's a woman, a friend of mine, who's a career and business astrologer. And essentially what she does, love her, shout out to Alice Hugh. She is working with corporations. And this is the thing, this is why I want to bring y'all so many more guests, because I think that people don't know the type of things that are happening on the back end. Like, the work that she does will be, a corporation will call her in to do predictions for the next quarter using astrology. And like, I'm like, hell yeah, why don't everybody know that that's happening? And why don't everybody have to be able to tap into that? Because and I think that, like, a lot of times, as people of color, as Black folks, we get really stuck on like religious things, and we minimize God, in my opinion. So I would just say that, like, if that is you, then no harm, no foul, no disrespect. But I believe in a larger realm of spirituality that can't necessarily be cornered or caged or locked into any one religion. And so I will be bringing people to talk about all facets of life. I have a woman, different things. Like, I have a woman who is a hat maker. She's a bespoke hat maker. She's amazing. She's also a poet and a good friend of mine for a long time. And I want to have her talk about like history, hats, and belonging, as in family legacy, right? Like, I have hats from my great aunt that in a hat box that she owned upstairs in my closet, and I'm holding to it, right? Like, because this is history, this is legacy. These are her hats that she bought and wore during her lifetime, right? And so, like, the kind of people that I want to bring on for the show next is going to be focused on those three categories: body, business, and belonging. And that's what I'm focused on in my next realm of life. And how do we integrate those things to care for our nervous systems as we keep going? So y'all, if y'all can keep rocking with me, I'm gonna keep rocking. All right. So my next guest, Lita. Now, Lita is an homie, and I will be honest and say I want to hear about what Lita got going on, because she be texting me about all kinds of what seemingly great things that she's got rocking and rolling. So I'm coming to the stage. I'm gonna bring you up, Lita. Here we go. Good morning.
Grand Rising to all. How you all doing? On me,
Lita, I
on me.
can't get with you on the Grand Rising. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. I
Well, you're
can't
gonna
do
have to do
it.
it today, but because that's what I do. So
Yeah.
I accept
What
you.
does it even
You-
mean?
It
What does
means
it
peace.
mean?
It's peace to your
Okay,
family.
okay, okay, okay. You know
Yes.
what? I like that. You know what? You saying something, because what people typically go with, I can't go with. But you saying it means peace, I love that, because typically people are like, oh, because morning means morning, and it doesn't. And
It means
it doesn't.
peace. It means peace that God got you up in the morning. He woke us up in the morning. That's peace.
No, no, no. What I mean is that the argument that people usually use around why they say grand rising versus good morning is like
Oh,
the word morning, morning is related to the word morning, mourning. And if you look at the etymology of the words, it's actually not related at all. And so then I'm always, but what you said just shifted my perception on it. I probably still won't be the person that says it, but you shifted my perception on it in the sense of like saying like the same thing as saying peace. Yes, you know what? Yes, I like that.
Yes.
You saying something. That's great.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm excited to
So
be on. Thank you. I listen to you all the time when you was on Emma's. I'm on the XM radio just as well, and I still listen. So I thank you. My
thank
name
you.
is Lita Hetherington. They call me Miss H. I want to first for say that my business is Tread for Success, named after my mother, Mary East Johnson. She raised 10 children. I was his seventh. And she always told us to be independent, learn to walk for yourself, think for yourself, and work for yourself. That's why I have my business. So I carried that legacy.
Now tell me, wait, hold on, let me see. Do you have Instagram or anything? Where do you
Yes.
want people to, or where do you want people to go? I guess is the question. You want them to look you
I'm
up.
on all social media. And I forgot to mention that I'm also one of the security guards that did the first black president. I did security for him. I did
Mm.
security for Tom Wolf, the governor of Pennsylvania. I helped out Lisa Rochester Blunt, our first black sitting senator in Delaware. And I work at the polls, register people to work, and I'm the majority judge there and carry the votes to be carried. So I also do that. And I'm in school for my PhD for criminal justice to try to change some of these policies and law. I worked federal and state, and I worked for, right now, I do mediation for the Department of Justice. So I am well in with the community.
Yes.
Yes.
What? I love that. You know what? And then I have so many things that I can ask you, but I'm
Yes.
gonna make sure. Like, let me
Yes.
make sure I get your name right.
Yes, it's
Okay.
LITA.
Uh
And
huh.
but on the social media, I got Miss H or Lady H or Lady L. So you might see me in different subtitles.
Where do you want people to go to look up Tread for
All
Success?
social media. I'm on all social media. Skyline. I'm on all social media.
Well, do you no? What I mean is like,
Instagram.
do you have a website for Tread for Success?
I'm getting it done right now. I had to redo it, but I'm
Okay,
getting it
good.
done. And once I get it done, I will reach out to you and let you know so you can
Okay, cool,
post
cool,
it.
cool. All right, cool. I want to make sure. I was trying to make sure I spelled your name right. Did I spell your name right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Um, Tread for Success. So, first, thank you for joining me. One, what you just said about security and about the polls and carrying the ballots. I have a question. I have a question for you that if you can clear it for me. So let's talk about like voter these things that are happening around like oh well you need to show your ID to vote or or else or like the idea that they're somehow securing us from like voter fraud or something like that with this whole ID to vote thing. I'm curious about what your thoughts are and how you've seen like the management of the polls, mismanagement of the polls, management of the ballots, mismanagement of the ballots, unfold over the course of time? Or like, have you seen things happen at your particular polling station where you're managing ballots, people trying to impact the votes in illegal ways? Like, you don't have to fully reveal, but I mean like things that you've seen change over time of people trying to negatively impact how people vote or the ballots themselves going from one place to another um or any other electronics. Like what have you seen happening at the polls over the last few years?
Well, I can say I've been doing this for 20 years plus. So I originally started in Arkansas, down there with Bill Clinton during that time. So I was down there in that area. But in this area, what I've noticed is a lot of times we have like the 20 25 inches from the polls that you can set up the signs that you want, who you want to vote for. We have issues with that. We had issues when men that comes in there and tell the women who to vote for. So as a
Mm.
majority leaders, yes. So as a majority leader, I have to say, if they cannot read or they need help, that's why I'm there for. And we have poll watchers to help. But they'll go in there and tell them who
Um,
to vote for. And they did that. You know who I'm talking about. They did it for, but I put that to a stop. I know from just traveling and being a military spouse and a dependent, working with Colin Powell, being overseas in Germany, Korea, and Okinawa, I understand how all of this work and what plays in it. So I walk a very fine line and knowing what to do.
So my guest from earlier was talking about she has a book that she wrote where she's talking about like we need to save ourselves. And we often hear these things around like so where you're sitting in this like working like military polls and like working
In the
with
community.
and the
In the
community.
community.
So
Yes.
what is your thoughts on whatever
I say
solutions look like?
this. I say this. I have initiative that I'm trying to bring out. I'm looking for someone to I can sit down and put it out. Is how to prepare, how to prevent cyberbullying and community bullying by using social emotional learning by CASEL. So
What
that's
does
one of
that
my
mean?
social emotional learning is like self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making.
Who
And
is it
with that being,
for?
excuse me,
Who is it for? So like who's
it's
the
for the
audience?
community. For the community, is how to prevent cyberbullying and community bullying. As an educator, I taught special ed and alternative, and because of that, it's have grown. Bullying have grown inside the schools and so much in the community and in the centers. So if we use social emotional learning, the council are learning how to self-aware. Self-aware is the ability to recognize own emotional thoughts or values and understand how they influence behavior. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes, yes, yes.
include, yes,
So
includes okay, I apologize.
no, you're fine, you're fine. What would you like to lead the people with today?
Well, I would like to, oh, and let me answer your question about the grouping. So, as my experience working with different groups and different organizations, and I had the pleasure of working with President Obama before he announced his candidacy in Ohio, and we did the ground roots, knocking on doors and doing that. So, with that being said, I learned to work in smaller group where you get more done than a bigger group, and then we can come together and make a plan and say, hey, over here we did this. Okay, let's go over here. Since we worked it here, let's go to the north side. And the plan that worked on the north side, we're going to use on the south side. And the plan that looked on the south side, we're going to do the north side. So we try to change it around and see which area it can work with. And then we can peg it out. That's what's prevalent. That's what I do.
And like small group organization. I appreciate that. So what do you want anybody do you want to leave people with something around Tread for Success or
I would like to leave something that in today's world, we need to go out there and vote. If we do anything else, before we do anything else, we have to vote and we need to learn our history. Those are the key aspect of learning what we need to do. Our history is our framework and we have to get out there and learn it, and we have to teach our youth. And that's what I continue to do. I continue in the streets teaching our youth about our history, especially where we live at, because most of our places we live at, it's history there. It's slavery there. It's stories there. When my children was growing up, instead of disciplining them, I have them do a report on, say for instance, we built the broom. I'm just giving an example. So when the teacher asked them to invent something, so they'll do it on the broom, so they can learn, the teacher can learn, and the students can learn. So that's how I implement history into into the schools. That's how I did it.
okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. Thank you
Yes,
for being the
and
only
thank you.
homie.
And always, and I'm looking forward for that Bath and Beyond.
Okay, I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Have a
All
good
right.
rest of
God
your day.
bless. All right
Bye.
then.
Um, one of the things I love about doing the 30 day, well, one of the things I miss about doing live radio. Now, in 30 minutes, my show will be available. My show will air Sirius XM channel 126, the Omi Show. Go check it out at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tune in. This week I'm interviewing Amanda Spann, and she's the author of a book called I Have an App Idea, and it's a really good interview. So go check that out. That show is pre-recorded. I'm live right now, but that show is pre-recorded. It airs every Sunday at 11 a.m. and then it replays, I think, at 8 p.m. But you can look at the schedule on if you search Urban View Urban View lineup or something on SiriusXM, you can go find it. It's on the website. But one of the things I miss about being live on Tuesdays, so I used to have a live show on Tuesdays. I miss interacting with the audience. Because in interacting with so many interesting people from so many different walks of life, from so many places, with so many ways of referring to things, so many, like, that part I do miss doing that. Like, I miss being able to just, like, everybody's calling in, like, because people are listening to the show and they're calling in. You're able to take a live call. You're able to, like, riff off of it. You know, it may be a crazy person, not crazy literally, but, you know, like, they may disagree with you, and they may come and tell you they just want to disagree with you. And it's like, cool, let's have that dialogue. Like, I'm not all knowing, and I'm not, you know, I don't know everything, and I don't claim to have every solution, but I love a good dialogue. Okay. I love some good commentary, some good conversation. Um, and so this is one of the things I'm loving about the 30-day show, because I threw the link out there to anybody that wanted to join the 30-day show, that wanted to become, that wanted to come on. And so so with the 30-day show, I didn't gear it toward, you had to be all about business. You had to be all about whatever. Like, I didn't do that. I didn't want to do that, because I knew there's so many people in my audience that have come from so many different walks of life. And I'm so glad, because we may not have seen this, like, all the different commentary from all these different people, had I just been like, oh no, I'm only bring in business people. Don't get me wrong, like, business people are cool and all that, but, like, I really love to, like, look at life from 360 degrees and really talk about what else is out there. Now, in the next, you know, this is what's probably going to happen. So the 30-day show, we're on day 22. Thank y'all so much for all who join us every day. And Evadene and Tiffany and Maria and Kanisha, Dr. Kanisha, and all the folks who also join on Instagram that have, like, I always can't name all your names, but thank you so much. Also, shout out to, I saw the Public Opinion Court just joined on Instagram. The Public Opinion Court. I just started following them. Shout out to them for following me. I appreciate y'all. But they do really interesting breakdowns of, like, what's happening with different court cases and pop culture. And I've been appreciating, like, just watching it. So shout out to them. But with the 30-day show, my goal was to really get to the people and really give people a different perspective. And so a bunch of people that have been joining that I've been really appreciating. And so thank y'all all for watching and following. This day 22. And on March 30th, it will be day 30 of the 30-day show. And because it is the 30-day show, the 30-day show will take a break. Okay. However, I've been getting lots of demand of people sending me notes saying, hey, don't stop going live. Like, keep it going, keep it going. So even though the 30-day show in itself has to conclude, I will still keep going live with a different show. And the next show is going to be called 3B, Body, Business, and Belonging. And we'll be talking about, what's up with the number 3 for me? I just noticed that 30-day show 3B. And I will narrow into particular categories of body, business, belonging. And I want to also, inside of that, my goal is to bring y'all an ecosystem of practitioners that work in these different realms or do these different activities to address living an integrated life. And so you'll get to hear from more business people in this one, I think. And I want to try to manage, like, what that looks like. So I'm excited for that. All right. Now, as promised, before I hop out of here, because I am at the end of the 90 days, as promised, I am going to give y'all a sneak. Well, I'm going to give y'all the longer version of tomorrow's OMI brief. So still like and share the OMI brief that I put out tomorrow, okay? But because I can do it here, where I can slow down, because when I'm doing an OMI brief, the one that you get on Mondays is rapid fire, and I'm trying to say all those things in less than 3 minutes, and so I end up cutting out a few lines. But since I have y'all here, I can actually slow it down and give it to y'all, and y'all can hear the whole brief that I normally don't put out. So here we go. Now, normally I start off with, it's Monday, March 22, tomorrow will be 22nd. When I start the OMI brief, I go, it's Monday, March or whatever. It's Monday, March 22nd. And while the headlines are loud, the real moves are quiet. This is the OMI brief. I got my notes, and here are the 5 things that caught my eye. Number 1, business and AI. Actually, you know what? No, I ain't gonna do that. Because I'm like, dang, actually, maybe I could pull it from right here. I could just record it right now and then pull it. But nah, because I ain't gonna do all that. It's actually easier for me to just record the whole thing all over. Number one, business AI. AI agents just graduated from the pilot phase. NVIDIA launches its agent toolkit this week, an open platform letting enterprises deploy autonomous AI agents that reason, plan, and execute complex tasks without human prompting at every step. Major platforms are rolling it out: Adobe, Salesforce, SAP, Cisco. They're already integrating it. Meanwhile, OpenAI just crossed 110 billion in funding and is now sitting at 9 million weekly users. What does this mean? The demo era of AI is over. We've moved from look at what AI can do to AI actually doing your job. Legal tasks, financial analysis, document workflows, customer operations. The investment isn't in models anymore. It's agents that work like employees, and that's a different beast. Takeaway: if you're in a knowledge work industry, the question isn't whether AI will touch your job, it's whether you're building skills around directing agents or waiting to be replaced by one. The infrastructure is now live and well. Number two, culture. A California jury found Elon Musk liable for misleading Twitter investors during the chaotic months leading up to his $44 billion acquisition of the platform in 2022. Damages could reach up to $2.6 billion, what the plaintiff's attorneys are calling the largest securities jury verdict in U.S. history. The jury found Elon Musk that he misled shareholders with tweets claiming the deal was temporarily on hold, but stopped short of saying he ran a full scheme to defraud them. He plans to appeal. What does this mean? For years, Musk has moved markets with a phone and no consequences, posting about bots, deals, crypto, whatever, and walking away clean. The name Teflon Elon existed for a reason. A jury said that this era is over. The man who now controls the Government Efficiency Agency, a social media platform, and a space program, just learned that even 66 billion net worth, it doesn't make you untouchable in a courtroom. Even if the appeal wins, the verdict still landed. Takeaway: the cultural shift here isn't about Twitter, it's about the accountability gap that's been widening between billionaire influence and legal consequence. When one person's tweets can move stock markets and tank retirement accounts, that's a systematic problem. One jury saw it that way. Number three, entertainment. ABC pulled the upcoming season of The Bachelorette starring Taylor Frankie Paul of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, just 3 days before its premiere. Hours after TMZ released a video showing the Paul in a 2023, Taylor Frankie Paul, Taylor in a 2023 altercation with her partner in front of her daughter. Paul had already pleaded guilty to aggravated assault. Disney executives had been warned. The cast had raised concerns on a recorded Zoom call. The season had already been filmed. What does this mean? Disney knew and casted her anyway. That's the real story. The network had the information, ran with the calculations, and assumed the controversy wouldn't surface at a premiere scale, and it did. This is what happens when brand protection replaces editorial judgment. You make the wrong call in the boardroom, and call it content strategy. Takeaway: reality TV is running out of grace periods for accountability gaps. When a cast is raising alarms before air and the network still moves forward, the question isn't what happened, it's who signed off. That's the conversation coming. What's interesting about the reality TV thing is like there's a reckoning happening across the board. Like, I don't know if y'all saw, I talked about this yesterday, but there's a documentary out called docuseries out called Dirty Rotten Scandals. And Dirty Rotten Scandals is on E. If you have Hulu and search for it, you'll find it. But you should be able to search for it and it'll tell you where to watch it, and you check what you have to watch it. But it's covering what's the name of it? Lord. America's Next Top Model, Price is Right, and Dr. Phil. It was very insightful. And also, speaking of Price is Right, I didn't know, and this is me, I should have known this, but Claudia Jordan, I came to know her through reality TV, but she actually was one of Bob Barker's Barker Beauties on The Price is Right. There was at the beginning of her career. She was a model on The Price is Right. And she actually filed a lawsuit against a sexual harassment lawsuit against one of the producers. And she actually won that suit, and that producer ended up getting fired. But that was after like decades of terrible behavior that this producer had. It was very eye-opening. And it was very, lately, I will admit, I was not a fan of Claudia Jordan for a while after seeing her like on reality TV. But now that I see her like doing news commentary or like pop culture commentary, I actually like her a lot more. I like her. I like hearing. I don't like watching anybody argue, but I didn't like watching her argue on reality TV. I am really liking hearing her as a I'm really liking hearing her perspective on things. I would say that. I'm liking that more than I like watching her falling out of some random relationships with people on reality. It's like I'm glad to see her moving into like Fox Soul and like she's doing commentary with Carlos King and things like that, and talking to Blue to Luzman. Like I love watching them do that commentary. But watching her on the documentary, I was like, wow, like I actually only met her through I wasn't watching Price is Right by the time she was on it. So anyway, so shout out to Claudia Jordan. All right, sorry. Going back to the Omni brief. Number 4, politics. The U.S.-Israel war in Iran has entered its 4th week with no clear end game in sight. After at least 13 U.S. military personnel have died and more than 230 have been wounded, and a $200 billion Pentagon funding request is pending at the White House. Oil prices have risen around 45% since the war began. The crude oil topping $110 per barrel as the near total halt of traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has created catastrophic disruption in oil markets. Trump said Friday he's considering winding down military efforts while new Marine units were simultaneously headed to the region. What does this mean? This is what an undeclared war with no congressional authorization looks like in real time. The objectives keep shifting: nuclear capabilities, missile supply, regime change, and nobody in Congress can get a straight answer. The economic pressure is now landing on American gas prices. That's when the politics get very personal very fast. Takeaway: winding down is not the same as an exit plan. Watch the oil markets, not the speeches. When crude oil is at $110 and an election cycle is approaching, the real pressure is on the administration. On this administration isn't the military. It's at the pump. Interesting. Number 5, wellness. 2 new analysis. Now this is interesting. Okay, hey, sit upright. Listen to what I'm about to say. Let me tell y'all. And I don't know. I'm gonna share this. This is just research. Okay, check this out. 2 new analyses published in the journal Lancet Psychiatry found no evidence that any form of cannabis, medical or recreational, is effective in treating anxiety, depression, or PTSD. Those are 3 of the leading reasons cannabis is prescribed. One analysis reviewed 54 randomized controlled trials published over 4 decades. The finding was consistent across CBD, THC, and combined products. What does this mean? Cannabis is quietly marketed as the stress era solution. Legal accessibility, normal. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Let me come back. See, this is why I be having to read if y'all see the number of takes I do on the brief is crazy. Okay. Cannabis has been quietly marketed as the stress era solution. Legal, accessible, normalized. And millions of people, especially since 2020, have been using it to manage exactly what this week is producing: war anxiety, economic dread, and a news cycle that won't quit. The science just said it's not working the way people think it is. And in a week where oil prices are up 45% and missiles are landing in southern Israel, knowing what exactly regulates the nervous system and what numbs it matters. Takeaway: the tool that actually helps with anxiety is breath work, movement, sleep discipline, and human connection. Require more effort than a gummy and are less convenient to sell. But the data is pointing in one direction. If you've been self-medicating with cannabis for stress, the clinical evidence says you might be managing the feeling without moving the needle. I thought that was interesting. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I thought it was interesting to find, well, that allegedly cannabis is not the answer to coping with stress, anxiety, and PTSD. I thought that was interesting. It could be what I'm perceiving, this is not in the evidence, that it could be numbing it, but not actually moving you through it or not actually helping you cope with it. So it may be like a sort of a temporary solution. Now, I don't know. I think the sort of like pushback against cannabis over time has been interesting. And so I don't know if we're in this like the way alcohol took its evolution over time from being legal and then not illegal and then illegal and then not illegal and like that type of thing. I have been long wondering if cannabis is going that route of like legal then illegal then legal then illegal and then finally like being completely legal. I think that like from a nervous system regulation standpoint though, we're gonna hear about psychedelics a lot more in the future. And they're not gonna be taboo, they're not gonna be woo-woo. It's gonna be like, no, I think that what we're gonna find over time is that psychedelics are actually effective in managing stress, PTSD, anxiety. And then people will figure out how to microdose in different ways. And it's already happening behind the scenes, but it's not as easy to, I don't know. I'll just see. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen in the future. So, but I thought it was an interesting story that this journal and this analysis found that like cannabis is not helping people cope with anxiety. Actually, I don't know. Because I can't tell whether or not this is a scheme that Todd set up, or whether or not this is actually true. Because I feel like there's some people who just don't want cannabis to become legal. I can't tell you who, but I feel like there's somebody who's like pushing against it just becoming just a legal thing that we can all have for some reason. And I can't tell you why exactly, but I'm out here in California and like it's free and clear, not free literally, but it's like, hey, you want to go get it. And as the industry, I think it's interesting to take shape. Thank you so much for you were watching the 30-day show. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to come back and I'm going to record the OMI brief for tomorrow. The full brief I just read to y'all, all those words won't be in there because I got to get it under 3 minutes. So a lot of that's going to get cut out. But you heard it right here, sneak preview of tomorrow's OMI brief. And I will, tomorrow, my goal is to have a surprise for y'all. I have a breathwork app. Shout out to Maria LeBlanc who created a framework for me and helped me get the vision around what I could do, and allow me to have a foundation for gave me a foundation for me to work from, for me to build out what I didn't actually think about building out at first, which is an app for my breathwork services. So there's breathwork there. There's Yoga Nidra, which is a sleep yoga to help you improve sleep deficits. So yeah, my goal is for y'all to be able to engage in it tomorrow. Okay. That's my goal. My goal is for y'all to be able to engage in it tomorrow. But I'm gonna try. I gotta get my voice recordings up so y'all can actually use it. But the app is up and the app flow is flowing. And there is a link to it on my website at this moment, but I'm not telling anybody to go look at it yet until I finish and I get the audio up because I want to add my voice to it. Yeah. All right. This is the 30-day show. The end of the show go in. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Also, in 10 minutes, you can go to SiriusXM channel 126 Urban View and listen to my show, The OMI Show. We'll go live in a second. And you can listen to my interview with Amanda Spann. She's the author of I Have an App Idea. Also, if you want to follow the 30-day show, you can go to @ the 30-day show on Instagram, or @ the 30-day show on TikTok. You can also go to Omi Bell, @ Omi Bell on Instagram. Click my link in my bio, and then join the email list. So you don't miss anything. And what else? Subscribe to my YouTube @ The Omi Show if you're not already. I think that's it. Thank y'all. Have a great rest of your day. We appreciate you. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Today's day 22. Tomorrow will be day 23. Also, my co-host Cameron Calvin will be back tomorrow with me